Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into the book Read People Like a Book by Patrick King. It's all about understanding human behavior. The idea is simple. Every person follows a certain pattern in how they think, feel, and act. And once you learn how to spot these patterns, it becomes much easier to understand their intentions and even predict their future behavior. These patterns don't appear out of nowhere. They often come from past emotional experiences, unmet needs, or deep psychological conditions. In other words, how someone acts today is often the result of what they've been through. Let's say you have a friend who gets angry at the smallest things. You notice that whenever someone points out a mistake he made, he instantly gets defensive and starts arguing. If you try to understand where that behavior is coming from, it could be linked to something in his childhood. Maybe he was constantly criticized growing up, or felt like he could never do anything right. Now, even a small correction triggers that same emotional response, and he reacts with anger to protect himself. Once you recognize that pattern, you can almost predict how he'll respond the next time someone points out a flaw. You're not just reacting to his anger, you understand why it's happening. Now think about someone always eager to help others. Even when it's inconvenient, they're the first to step in. You might wonder, why do they never say no? It could be because somewhere in their past, they learned that their value comes from making others happy. Maybe the only time they felt loved or accepted was when they were meeting other people's needs. Now, helping others has become a habit, even if it means ignoring their own needs. By spotting that pattern, you begin to understand why they behave this way, and you can even guess that they'll probably keep acting like this in the future, unless something changes. Another important way to understand people is by noticing the gap between what they say and what they do. People often say one thing, but their actions reveal the truth. For example, imagine a coworker who always says, "I don't care what others think of me." But the moment someone criticizes him, he's upset for days. That tells you his words don't match how he truly feels. Deep down, he might care a lot about other people's opinions. He just doesn't want to admit it. If you catch on to that pattern, you'll know what to expect. The next time someone criticizes him, chances are he'll get upset again. When we try to analyze people, it helps to watch how they react in different situations, especially with different people, like close friends or strangers. For example, someone might joke a lot around friends. Let's continue. Have you ever noticed someone who acts completely different depending on the environment? For example, they're loud and funny with friends, but turn quiet and serious when in a formal setting. This shows that they're highly adaptable. They mold themselves based on the atmosphere. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It shows social awareness. But on the flip side, if someone behaves the same way all the time, always joking or always serious, it could be a reflection of their inner personality. Sometimes people even fake certain behaviors just to influence others or fit in. But if you observe closely, their true self eventually comes through. Take someone who always tries to appear confident. They talk big, act fearless, but when asked a tough question, they suddenly get nervous or try to change the subject. That's a sign their confidence might just be a mask. If you can spot patterns like this, you'll start to see the difference between someone authentic and someone who's just pretending. Our behavior patterns are also connected to our psychological needs. Some people constantly feel the need to prove they're right. They never admit they're wrong. Others need attention all the time, so they keep doing things to stay in the spotlight. Some love to be in control and want everything to go their way. Once you understand a person's core need, you can also predict their behavior. For example, think about someone who always wants to be the center of attention in group conversations. They speak first, the longest, and the loudest. That's not random. It's a need for recognition. Now imagine someone else starts getting more attention. You'll likely see them interrupt, shift the topic, or try to bring the focus back to themselves. If you've noticed this pattern before, it becomes easier to know how they'll react next time. Another great way to understand people is by looking at the decisions they make, especially big ones. People don't just make choices based on the current situation. Their past experiences, fears, and desires play a huge role too. Imagine someone who turns down every new opportunity, even good ones. You might think they're being negative, but the real reason could be fear. Maybe they once took a big risk, failed, and got hurt. Now, they avoid anything that feels risky. Understanding this helps you see that their current decisions are based on past pain, not just logic. So, if you start recognizing these patterns, you'll be able to understand people on a much deeper level, and even guess how they might behave in the future. And hey, if you're enjoying this content and want more helpful insights like this, consider subscribing to our channel. You can also support us through membership or UPI if you'd like to help us keep making these videos. Let's get back to the summary. If you can recognize behavioral patterns, you gain a powerful tool, the ability to understand people better and predict how they'll act next. Now, just like there are people who always avoid risk, there are also those who jump at every opportunity without thinking twice. They make quick decisions, always eager to act fast. This too can be a behavioral pattern. Maybe somewhere in life, they learned that success comes to those who act quickly, so now they believe grabbing every chance is the key to winning. Understanding these kinds of behavior patterns doesn't just help you read people better, it can also improve your relationships. Whether it's a friend, partner, or coworker, when you understand why they act a certain way, you become more patient and more empathetic. You stop taking things personally and instead start building stronger connections. It's also important to remember, people don't stay the same forever. Everyone changes, but even those changes often follow a pattern. And if you can recognize how someone is changing, you can get a sense of where they're heading in life and even what they might do next. If you want to understand someone, don't rely only on what they say. Pay attention to how they act, what they've been through, what they want, what they fear, and what they truly need. Once you do this, you'll not only become better at understanding people, you'll also get better at predicting their decisions. Most of us think that understanding someone just means listening carefully to their words, but in reality, words can be misleading. A person's body language and facial expressions often tell you much more than what they're saying out loud. For example, your friend tells you, "I'm fine," but their voice is quiet, their eyes are down, and their shoulders are slouched. Even though the words say one thing, their body is telling a different story, and that's probably the truth. That's why it's so important not to rely only on words. Pay attention to gestures, facial expressions, and body language. They reveal a person's real emotions, sometimes more clearly than any sentence ever could. Facial expressions are especially powerful. When someone is truly happy, their eyes light up, there's a gentle smile, and their whole face feels open and relaxed. But when someone is sad, their eyes seem heavy, their face droops, and their lips tighten. Fear, surprise, and worry each have their look too. And once you learn to spot these signs, you'll be able to understand how someone is feeling in that moment. Think about a colleague in your office who, let's say someone tells you they don't have a problem with anyone, but then, the moment a certain person enters the room, everything about their body language changes. Their face tightens up, they avoid eye contact, and their hands subtly clench into fists. Even if they claim there's no issue, their body is saying otherwise. That's the power of body language. It reveals truths that words often try to hide. Human body signals and gestures say a lot about what someone is feeling. For example, if someone is truly interested in a conversation, they'll lean forward, keep their eyes focused, and their fingers might even point slightly upward as a sign of engagement. But if someone is bored, they might lean back, glance around the room, or keep their hands occupied elsewhere. A clear sign that their mind is somewhere else. Imagine you're talking to someone, and they keep shaking their leg, glancing at their watch, or checking their phone repeatedly. That's a clear signal of restlessness, disinterest, or maybe even anxiety. These small gestures, though subtle, tell us a lot about what a person is feeling in that moment. People often try to hide their real emotions, but their bodies usually give them away. For instance, when someone is lying, they may avoid eye contact, touch their face or nose frequently, or you might notice a slight shift in their voice. If you learn to catch these little signals, you can often tell when someone is being honest and when they're not. That said, it's important not to jump to conclusions based on just one sign. Someone avoiding eye contact doesn't always mean they're lying. They might just be tired or shy. If someone has their arms crossed, it doesn't always mean they're angry. Maybe they're just cold. That's why context matters. Always look at a cluster of signals, not just one. If someone repeatedly shows defensive gestures, you need to ask, is this part of their personality, or is it a reaction to the current situation? Let's look at an example. If someone is standing with their arms crossed, it doesn't automatically mean they're being rude. But if, along with that, their lips are tight and they're slightly leaning backward, then that combination of signs could suggest they're feeling angry, defensive, or uncomfortable. Here's another situation. Someone is smiling while talking to you, but their eyes don't match the smile. That's a fake smile. Real happiness shows in the eyes. They light up, the corners wrinkle slightly, and there's a natural warmth. But when someone forces a smile without true feeling, their eyes remain blank or distant. Sometimes, a person smiles, but only with their lips. Their eyes look tired, and maybe they keep touching their neck. That's a subtle clue. On the outside, they seem okay, but inside, they might be stressed or uncomfortable. The truth is, people often try to put on a show, but their body gives away what they're feeling. The ability to read people isn't just useful in personal relationships. It's just as important in professional life. Imagine you're in a meeting. Your boss says he liked your project, but instead of looking pleased, his face shows slight irritation, and his hands lie still and lifeless on the table. That's a signal. He might just be being polite. Maybe he's not truly impressed. If you can spot that in time, you can go back, improve your work, and leave a better impact next time. Being able to read body language and facial expressions also helps you tell if someone's being honest. Let's say someone insists they haven't made a mistake, but their voice hesitates, their eyes keep shifting, and their fingers nervously fidget. All of these are signs that they may not be telling the full truth. Reading people is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice. The more you observe people's facial expressions and body movements in daily life, the more familiar you'll become with the signals. That said, everyone is different. One person's normal behavior might be another's warning sign. So, the best way to understand someone's body language is to first notice how they usually behave. If someone is normally cheerful and talkative, but one day they're sitting quietly with a blank expression, that could be a sign that something's wrong. On the flip side, if someone who's usually calm suddenly becomes overly expressive or animated, it might mean they're anxious or trying to hide something. By paying attention to these small changes, you can learn to read people more accurately. You'll start noticing when their actions don't match their words, and that will help you communicate better, understand others deeply, and even respond more effectively. Behind every behavior, there's a reason. Some people work hard because they're chasing success. Others save money because they're worried about the future. Some help others because it makes them feel good, while others lie to avoid getting into trouble. If you can figure out what brings someone joy, or what they fear, you can start to predict how they'll behave in the future. Because at the root of every action, there are usually two big drivers, either the desire for happiness or the need to avoid pain. Every person is driven by two main forces, the desire to seek pleasure and the need to avoid pain. If you observe, you will start to understand what motivates someone, what attracts them, and what they try to avoid. This is very important because once you understand a person's motivation, you can often predict the decisions they will make next. Imagine there are two colleagues in your office. One always works extra hard, takes on more responsibility, and tries to learn from every mistake. The other tends to do the minimum, avoids risks, and runs away from new responsibilities. Why such a big difference in their behavior? The first person might be motivated by the happiness of success. Maybe they want a promotion or want to make a mark through their work. They find joy and satisfaction in working hard and achieving goals. The second person, however, might be driven by fear, the fear of failure or criticism, They want to avoid making mistakes or taking risks that could lead to trouble later. If you understand these motivations, you can guess how they will behave when given a new project. The first person will likely accept it with enthusiasm, eager to prove themselves. The other may try to avoid it or come up with excuses to dodge the responsibility. Now think about suggesting a friend to start going to the gym. If that friend is motivated by seeking happiness, they might think, going to the gym will improve my fitness, I'll feel better, and my personality will improve. But if they're motivated by avoiding pain, their thought process might be different. If I don't go to the gym, I could get sick, gain weight, or have health problems later. Both people may end up going to the gym, but their reasons are very different. One driven by attraction to positive outcomes, the other by fear of negative consequences. This kind of motivation applies to many behaviors, even anger. For example, someone who often gets angry might have a motivation linked to past experiences. Maybe in childhood, they had to prove themselves repeatedly, so now they feel the need to always be right in arguments to avoid feeling weak or losing respect. Understanding this helps you know when someone might get angry and how best to calm them down. People's behavior can also be influenced by their fears and concerns about how others see them. Some are very careful about their social image because they fear rejection. They always try to say the right things, dress perfectly, and avoid mistakes that could harm their reputation. Chapter 4. Managing Negative Emotions and Self-Doubt. Have you ever felt that fear, anxiety, or self-doubt stopped you from moving forward? This is completely normal. Everyone experiences these feelings at some point, but mentally strong people know how to control these emotions. They don't allow fear or worry to become obstacles in reaching their goals. Instead, they learn from them and keep moving forward. Fear and anxiety are part of our brain's security system. When we face uncertainty or danger, our brain creates fear and anxiety to protect us. However, when these feelings become too strong, they can prevent us from progressing. So, how can we control fear and anxiety? The answer is to face fear instead of running away from it. Whenever you feel afraid, make a habit of confronting that fear gradually. Over time, your brain will reduce its fear response. Take deep breaths and stay in the present moment. Anxiety often comes from worrying about the future, thinking things like, "What if I fail?" or "What will people think of me?" Such thoughts weaken us. When this happens, breathe deeply and bring yourself back to the present. Ask yourself, why do I feel scared? Is this a big danger? If I fail, what can I learn from it? Thinking logically about your fears weakens them automatically. When we are stressed, it can be difficult to think clearly. But mentally strong people stay calm under pressure and make the right decisions. To reduce stress and stay calm, try the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Look at 5 things around you, touch 4 things, listen for 3 sounds, smell 2 things, and feel 1 thing. This brings your focus to the present and helps reduce stress immediately. Taking breaks and practicing mindfulness are also important because constant work increases stress. Take a 5-minute break, breathe deeply, and relax. Sometimes the things we fear are not as big as we think. Ask yourself, if the worst happens, can I handle it? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Listening to calming music or doing light physical activity like walking or exercising can also help keep your mind calm. Our thoughts control our feelings and actions. If we constantly think negatively, our confidence weakens. But if we learn to change negative thoughts into positive ones, we become mentally stronger. How do we do this? First, identify your negative thoughts. Write them down to understand which ones are causing you the most harm. Then, reframe those thoughts positively. For example, change. I can't do this work too. I can learn if I try. Instead of thinking, people will make fun of me, say, I will focus on my growth. Instead of, I always fail, remind yourself, every failure makes me stronger. Get into the habit of greatness by writing down 3 things you are grateful for every day. This shifts your focus away from negativity to positivity. Practice confident self-talk too. Stand in front of the mirror daily and say, I am strong. I can face any challenge. I believe in myself, and no difficulty can stop me. I accept fear and anxiety, but do not let them control me. To reduce stress, I use techniques like mindfulness, deep breathing, and listening to music. Whenever negative thoughts arise, I catch them and change them into positive thinking. Mental strength does not mean eliminating negative emotions, but learning to control them effectively. If you master this, no situation will weaken you. Chapter 5. Overcoming Adversity, Work, and Poise. Real strength is not about never falling. It is about getting up every time we fall. Do you accept every difficulty as a new opportunity? Difficulties in life are inevitable, but how we handle them is in our hands. Mentally strong people see challenges as chances to learn, and with every failure, they emerge stronger. When we dream big or start something new, we must be ready for both success and failure. Failure is not the end, but a new lesson that helps us improve. How do we learn from failure? First, accept your emotions. When you fail, don't deny it or blame yourself. Accept that you feel sad or disappointed. After that, focus on finding a solution. Ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? How can I do better next time? Is there any habit or thinking that became a hindrance? These reflections help turn failure into success. Even the most successful people have faced many failures, but they didn't give up. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. He said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Success comes from making small improvements every time you fail and trying again. This process is the real key to success. Mentally strong people don't waste time worrying about problems. Instead, they ask themselves, what should I do now? They develop positive thinking by telling themselves, I will learn from this, and I will become stronger. I will overcome this challenge. Even great figures like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, whose childhood was very simple, showed that mental strength can overcome obstacles. They used to sell newspapers, but he did not give up. Despite difficulties, he worked hard, stayed focused on his studies, and eventually became known as India's missile man and president. His story teaches us that no situation is too difficult if we dare to keep trying. Anything is possible if you refuse to give up. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in jail due to his fight for justice. But instead of adopting negative thinking, he stayed strong. He turned his pain into inspiration and laid the foundation for a new South Africa. Similarly, when Ratan Tata's Tata Indica car failed and people mocked him, he did not lose hope. He learned from his mistakes and later created the revolutionary Tata Nano. All these great people had one thing in common. They never panicked in the face of difficulties. They saw every failure as a learning opportunity and eventually succeeded. They weren't afraid of failure. They learned from it. They were patient in tough times and focused on finding solutions. The stories of these great individuals teach us that no situation can stop us if we dare to move forward. Remember, real strength is not about running away from difficulties, but facing them head-on. Every failure brings you closer to success. Now it's your turn. Overcome your fears, build self-respect, and face every challenge with courage and confidence. Chapter 6. Daily Habits for a Mentally Tough Life. Your habits build your future. Have you ever wondered why some people stay calm even in difficult situations and how they remain mentally strong? Their secret lies in their daily habits. Mental strength is not something you're born with. It develops through small exercises practiced every day. Small actions bring big changes. Here are some simple daily exercises that can help you strengthen your mind and stay stable even in adverse circumstances. First, meditate for 5 to 10 minutes every day. Meditation reduces stress, increases self-awareness, and improves concentration. Second, write a journal every night before sleeping. Note 3 things you are grateful for and 1 thing you learned that day. This builds positive thinking and introspection. Third, practice positive self-talk. Every morning, stand in front of a mirror and say, "I am strong. I can face any challenge." Additionally, take cold showers. Cold water improves your self-control, energizes your body, and strengthens your mental stamina. Learning new skills is another powerful habit. It increases neuroplasticity, helping you face challenges better. Finally, push yourself to do one uncomfortable thing every day. Talk to new people, face fears, or try something different. This will gradually boost your confidence. People who practice discipline in small things develop mental strength to handle bigger challenges. Can you achieve your goals easily? Do you want instant satisfaction? Or are you patient enough to work toward great or big goals? Are you afraid of small failures, or can you proceed with patience? Practicing self-discipline is key. For example, waking up on time every morning helps train your brain to be disciplined and mentally strong. Make a priority list each day, doing the most important tasks first and avoiding distractions. Always focus on your long-term goals. Whenever you do any work, ask yourself, is this right for my future? Reward yourself with small breaks if you've worked hard all day, but keep these breaks limited. Success comes only to those who know how to control themselves. Mentally strong people have a growth mindset, not a fixed one. They believe in constant learning because learning never ends. So, what is a growth mindset? It means thinking, I can learn from my mistakes and improve. Every problem has a solution. On the other hand, a fixed mindset says, I can't change, and I don't need to learn anything new. It ignores the lessons in failure. To develop a growth mindset, avoid saying things like, this is too hard, or I can't do it. Instead say, I don't know this yet, but I can learn. Also, spend time with positive people because your environment influences your mindset. Avoid negative thinkers and connect with those who inspire you. Treat failure as an opportunity to learn. Every time you fail, ask yourself, what did I learn from this? Good daily habits are the foundation of mental strength. With self-discipline and patience, you can achieve big goals. By developing a positive, growth-focused mindset, you can turn every challenge into an opportunity. Now is the time for you to adopt and strengthen your mindset. Remember, small habits bring big changes. Applying mental toughness in real life. Every success in life depends on your mental strength. Do you find yourself stuck in relationship problems? Do you want big success in your career but feel held back by difficulties? Are you often disappointed and lack motivation to move forward? If so, mental strength can be your greatest asset. In this chapter, we will learn about the importance of mental strength in relationships and career, how to overcome obstacles, and techniques to move toward success. We will also explore the long-term benefits of developing mental toughness and how it can transform your entire life. Successful relationships are built not only on love but also on patience and wisdom. The greatest challenges in life are often connected to relationships. Whether it's friendship, marriage, or family, when things go wrong, our patience and mental balance become our greatest strengths. How do we maintain mental strength in relationships? One key way is to control emotions. Sometimes anger, jealousy, or disappointment can arise, but if you are mentally strong, you can control these emotions and avoid making wrong decisions. It is also important to listen to others patiently. Most problems are solved through understanding and careful listening, so avoid making hasty decisions. Maintaining healthy boundaries is another essential part of mental strength. Mentally strong people treat others well, but also protect their peace. If someone repeatedly hurts you, you have the strength to create distance and maintain your calm. Accepting change is also crucial, because relationships can evolve. Some people enter your life, and some leave. Having the mental strength to accept this change helps you stay balanced. Mental strength is equally important in your career. If you give up in the face of difficulties, success will slip away from you. Career success depends not only on talent but also on stamina, hard work, and mental resilience. How do you withstand pressure at work? When the pressure mounts, remind yourself that this is an opportunity for growth. How do you bounce back from failure? If you miss a promotion, fail an interview, or a project doesn't go as planned, view these as learning experiences. Failure is not the end. It is just another lesson. Dealing with negative people at work or in business is also critical. Such people can drain your confidence, so it is best to keep your distance and focus your energy on positive things. Think long-term. If success doesn't come immediately, don't give up. Every great person has achieved success through patience and discipline. Staying motivated during tough times is essential. Remember why you started whenever you feel tired or discouraged. Mentally strong people hold on to their motivation and never let it slip away. When you feel lost, ask yourself why you chose this goal in the first place. If the goal feels too big, break it down into smaller, manageable parts and work through them step by step. Celebrate each small victory because small successes eventually add up to a big win. Reading inspiring stories daily can also boost your motivation. Surround yourself with positive energy by filling your mind with uplifting examples. Finally, speak positive affirmations to yourself every day, such as, "I am capable. I can overcome any challenge." Mentally strong people can face any challenge and find success in every field. When you become mentally strong, your whole life changes. You remain calm and confident in all situations. Instead of giving up during difficult times, you look for solutions. Your relationships become stronger because you don't let negativity control you. In your career, you will achieve great success because you are not afraid of failure. You will see life from a positive perspective and keep moving forward. Victory belongs to those who never give up. If you want to be strong in your relationships, career, and life in general, make mental strength your habit. See difficulties as challenges and never give up. Work every day to improve yourself because every great person was once ordinary, but they succeeded because they never quit. Now is the time for you to become mentally strong and take your life to new heights. The Mental Toughness Handbook teaches us that mental strength is not a skill we are born with. It can be learned. From this book, we learn the importance of patience, self-control, learning from failure, and developing a positive mindset to face challenges. If you want to increase your confidence, refuse to give up during difficult times, and strengthen your mental resilience, follow the techniques provided in this book. Remember, mental strength does not mean you will never fall. It means that whenever you fall, you will get up stronger. If you liked this video, please like, share, and don't forget to comment below. Tell us what you think about mental strength. Also, subscribe to our channel for more inspirational book summaries. The more challenges you face, the stronger you will become.